All right, question of the day. What is your favorite nursery rhyme? Don't give me your limericks here because this is a family friendly channel, but your favorite nursery rhyme. Because today we're taking a look at oranges and lemons. I've been wanting to call it lemons and limes all day. It is oranges and lemons. This is a worker placement Euro game reminiscent of that golden era for me, subjectively personally, that mid 2010s Euro game. Now, if you hear something in the background, there's a 3D printer back here, and I'm testing the microphone to make sure. So I will find out in post for my own benefit. So let's take a look right now at worker placement game Oranges and Lemons, based on a nursery rhyme. The oranges and lemons is something. I think that's how it goes. You can look it up, but it is a wonderful little nursery rhyme song about England and 1700s and East Indian tea company, the EIT, all that sort of stuff. So loads and loads of history in this game. So let's take a look at how it plays. We'll come back up, talk final thoughts. All right, little post-game media scrum here in the breakfast nook. Haven't shot a game over here in a long time, since maybe Robo Rally. Okay, so you have a personal player board. These will all be covered up. Now, the reason we're doing this, I'm not doing a full teach. I'm giving you the post game with thoughts on how to play it and how to play roughly. These will all be covered up as you unlock them. They not only unlock more spaces to hold goods, because currently you can only hold what you can carry, which is a single good. You'll unlock spaces to carry goods, as well as a warehouse where you can keep a good in here. Anything in red is points you're going to receive at the end of the game. So things like that. If you get a point during the game, you'll actually get it with one of these tokens, just like that. These are votes. You're going to get them from the board. These are loans. Now, you are actually giving the loans in this game. It's the first game I think I've ever heard of like that, where you're not taking a loan. And the bells are things that you can use to get superpowers. The bigger they are, the more things they can push out of their way to kind of spruce up these action spots. Now, that's pretty much what happens on your board. You'll hold your cards over there, your coins over there. The way the board is set up, you'll notice these kind of quarter circles here. These are done in a pillars of the art style of worker placement. You have the order of the workers here. Now this is later in the game. You start with 2 workers each, and they will go in this order depending on where you place them. You'll place them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 action spaces, and they all do something different. Now 4 of them do a very similar thing. You can buy lemons, buy bricks, by pans, and by pancakes. Yes, I'm not kidding. That's what they actually are. But I'll go through these actions really quick because some of them take a good bit longer and some of them are pretty simple. First and foremost, buy lemons, you put your worker placement worker here, pay a price on the left to take the row. So 3 for 3 there, 4 for 3 here, and it just kind of keeps going up. 5 for 3 the pancakes, and then 6 for 3. Every one of these spaces has a spot you can put a bell on it that kind of powers up the action, essentially giving you a free lemon every round, free brick every round, pancake every round, and then dropping the price of pans over there. This would be just gain $4, gain $2. This would be give a loan. So you'll pay $5, essentially loaning it to someone, and you'll put the loan on your player board, which will score you permanent interest every single round and points at the end of the game. And they do stack pretty good, so this would be worth 14 points at the end of the game if you give out all 3 loans. Over here, we've already covered this spot. This is where you get your bells. This is a different spot. Now, this has to do with this track down here at the bottom. You will place your worker on one of these spots, and you will sell goods of that type for that price. And each good you sell will move you up on this board. So it gets you points at the end of the game. One other thing to note, pretty much anything you get points on is also a majority scoring at the end of the game. So you will get the points for it and then score majority scoring. So that you'll move up this track here and gain points for that, is what this is. Here, it's just take a lemon, a brick, or a lemon or a brick, or $3 or 2 points. Up there, they're gonna be upside down, but just so you know, that is $3, $7, or $10 to upgrade your storage areas. That's how you get your more spaces to hold cubes. There is the stock market. Essentially, it's the East Indian Trading Company you're investing in. They will come out of that bag with these tiles, and the tiles will say things like this: either go up on the stock value or down, collect 4 yellow goods. They'll stay on here if you can't hold them, because you're investing in a ship, and then you can use those for contracts later. Or it'll say things like shipwreck, where it cuts the price of the market in half. Now, currently our market is sitting at $8 a share. If it was cut in half, it would move down here to 4, obviously. Now, you can then buy or sell shares here buying up to 2 for the share market value, or sell as many as you want. So if you have, 4 shares at $8, it's $32. That's how math works. East Indian Trading Company. It will happen no matter what. That's why the gray worker is there. You may not be able to see that on the board. You'll pull 2 of the East Indian trading ships out of here, and then if you're there, you'll choose to take one. One other thing of note, if you see a money mark on the actual worker placement spot, you have to pay that when you play it. If you see it down below, it means you have to play it when you take the action. So you will take one of the East Indian Trading Company ships. They're always good things depending on what you take. And over here, except the shipwreck, but you probably won't take it. Over here is a market kind of like brass. You can buy and sell to this market, including the ones that were on your ship that you don't have room for. So currently you notice there's plenty of room to sell lemons. They're just not worth very much. And so the market works like that. The more you have of it, obviously the less it is. That's supply and demand. Here is what that action is. You'll sell here by yourself if you didn't do it using the selling action from the East Indian Trading Company. This one will allow you to fulfill the contracts at the bottom of the board. These will be things like cash in a brick and a pancake to get $11, or things like this one later on in the game, 3 and 3 for 15 points. That's essentially what happens down here. This space allows you to get more workers, and last but not least, this simple space here is you're going to pay for what's known as votes. They're just points that you collect. Everything, like I said, at the end of the game will give you points based on majorities too. So you have all the scoring that you would think from playing a worker placement game, the things that you do. Then down here, every single one of those things, person who has the most gets 5 points. You will play until you're out of the contracts. You'll play one more round. Then you will count points. Person with the most points wins the game. That is Oranges and Lemons. Something about St. Clements. Hey, really quick, if you're going to be at Dice Tower West, this will be our first time being at Dice Tower West. I'm really pumped about being there, so make sure you come check out the booth. We will have all the new shirts there, and just come say hello. I'd love to meet you. So Oranges and Lemons, as you know, for 2020, starting in 2024, I started doing a rubric system at Carla's suggestion because it helps me organize the thoughts and gets everything into a more standardized version of my scores. So case in point, this one has 7 categories. They are concept, board layout, mechanic, art, direction, art, gameplay, and rule books. And then we aggregate that together and get you the average. First and foremost is the concept. Now, I gave it a 6 because it is, Euro generic theme. Now, 6 is better than 0, or 6 is better than 5 even. But it ain't great for me. So if you know a 6, really and truly, 6 is not a great score. But it's not because I don't like the theme. It's just because it is kind of just generic Euro theme. And that's okay. But the whole Oranges and Lemons, and I say that, it's not generic because it's based on the nursery rhyme and it's based on where the nursery rhyme comes from. And it gives you the history of it. So I'm not going to knock it for that. So still a 6 because it's not like you go, oh my gosh, this is that poem I've been reading about my whole life. Board layout is actually a 9. I give this a 9 for the board layout because the way the little quarter circles are cut into the board, and which we'll talk about in mechanics, it just actually really flows really well for the game. Your board makes sense. All of that just makes sense. You have your player board, you have where things go, and you have the main board. There's nothing tricky about where things go, and I really like that for a board layout. Mechanics are an 8. Now, it's worker placement. Yes, my favorite mechanic. However, it takes one of my favorite games, Pillars of the Earth, and does the worker placement in order of actions queuing, and I love that. And it does it 2 ways. One, you will place in order based on how the order track is. So you may place first and place last. You may place first, second, and third placed and not place again till last, depending on how many workers you have out there. So your worker count depends on kind of where you're going to go as well. And then the actions will key off in section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, which means unless there's a cost you have to pay when you place an action, you can use your earlier actions to kind of pay for and get you ready for your later actions. I love games that do that. So 8 for that. The only reason it's an 8, not a 9, is because there's some actions I just never did. And I scored pretty well the last time we played. But you just don't have to play them all, the actions. There's some that you just don't really need. Like all the different spaces to buy the 4 different resources. It's not as necessary when you have the other places you can mitigate that too. Art direction's an 8. The symbols make sense, and there's a great guide for the symbols. Now, I will knock it for the rule book later, but the symbols are all there, and everything really plays well. It tells you what to do. The art. Okay, the art is with an asterisk, a 9 for me. Now, here's why. Let me tell you the story. I have a very vivid memory of going to the dentist office when I was a kid. I hated the dentist. Still don't love it. I went today. It was just not fun. But he had this blown up poster of Mobile, Alabama, and it was one of those 90s doctor's office style posters where it was kind of like, you know, you're looking at it on the globe, but it's kind of zoomed out and huge, and all these landmarks in Mobile are sticking up from Mobile, and it was done cartoony style. That's what this reminds me of. Even though it's done more realistic, the cartoony color pattern and art reminds me of that in such a good way, but it also really, really reminds me of like Uwe Rosenberg circa 2010 to 2019. It really reminds me of that. You know, Taverns of Tiefenhall, that kind of art. I really love this art style for this game. Like, I don't want this to be ultra realistic. Vincent Dutrait is my favorite board game artist. I don't want him doing this game, if that makes sense. I want this to look like this looks. So, with an asterisk, because it might not be your cup of tea, gets a 9 for me for that. Gameplay is an 8. Same as the mechanics really here. They're very one and the same. The gameplay is the mechanics, and the mechanics are the gameplay here. That's not always the case if you've heard my reviews, but I like the way it works. I like what you do on your turn. I like how it flows. I like planning ahead in a micro way for your turn and then a macro way for turns ahead. Rulebook gets a 6. There are several things that were just not placed really well, and one rule that got completely omitted, which can be found on Board Game Geek, but it was a pain because it was how do you get rid of the ships at the East Indian Trading Company, and it just didn't make sense on how to do it out of the book because it's not there. So a couple things with that. All in all, that aggregates to a 7.7. We're going to go ahead and round that to a 7.5. 7.5, solid game, oranges and lemons. Really like this game. It's a solid Euro game. It was in the box of Tom, is what I call it when Tom sends a box of games. Now this one I did sign up for. He said, hey, what games do you want of the box I'm going to ship you? I was like, I'll take that one. Thinking, you know what, I'm going to roll the dice on a Euro based in Europe with goods and markets and stocks and all that. And it paid off. I really, really like this game. Oranges and lemons. I don't know that you're going to see it a lot. Like, I may have the only copy of anybody I know, but I really like this game. So if you can get your hands on Oranges and Lemons, go play it. It's a really, really fun game, and it's got kind of that love and homage to the early 2000s worker placement games while still having some fresh things as well. So that is Oranges and Lemons. I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Yes, this thing is loud. I will pause it next time. Until next time, we'll see ya.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.